up, guys? MMA Professor back after a tremendously long hiatus, just because I feel like doing a video. UFC on Fox 3, Diaz versus Miller. Not insanely excited for this card, but it is something that I am looking forward to because I like a lot of the fights, and a lot of them are just, I think, are going to be good scraps. So let's go. Preliminary, which is now on Facebook. There was going to be two fights that weren't going to be shown at all, which was weird, and nobody ever thought that that would be true. So they are on Facebook now, and then we'll go on to the Fuel TV and the main card on Fox. So first fight we got Mike Macenzio against Carlos Vamola. Vamola dropping to 185. Spent time at heavyweight, now 205, now 185. Doesn't make a difference because, you know, he's a one-round fighter anyways. So I don't think the cut is going to hurt him in that respect because he either finishes it in the first round or he's going to get probably submitted by Macenzio. Although Ronnie Marks couldn't finish him, but he's more of a control guy on the ground anyways. For being a BJJ guy, he uses positioning control more than he looks to set up submissions. But anyways, so what are you going to pick here? Who knows? We'll see how Vamola looks at the weigh-ins. I'm just going to say he's going to blitz Macenzio and TKO him in the first round. Could he completely and utterly gas out and get either lose the last two rounds, which is not all that common, or is he going to get subbed? We'll see how much he gasses, but I don't think it's going to get to that point. We're going to go Vamola, first round TKO. Roland Delorme against Nick Denis. Nick Denis, I mean, this isn't, a lot of people are saying Nick Denis is going to destroy him. And while that's true, Delorme is not, he's got some skills. I don't think he's UFC level. He's got good judo, and I mean, he's got a good sub game, but I think Denis just got to get in, close the distance, and Denis got some spectacular finishing ability, and he does it inside of one round. So first two fights end in the first round. Preliminary Fuel TV, Dennis Bermudez against Pablo Garza. Bermudez, while he does have some very good offense on the feet, he hits pretty hard. He's a good wrestler, good top control. He's okay at staying out of subs, and he's got okay subs himself. He's just got to worry about flashy stuff from Garza, flying knees. If he does take the fight to the ground, Pablo Garza does have very long limbs, so he's good at setting up triangles and stuff like that. So he's got to watch out for that, but I think Dennis Bermudez is going to TKO Pablo Garza anyways. You know, again, he's got to stand in get in on the reach, but Garza's not one of those guys that is great at controlling distance. He doesn't use his jab a whole lot. It's not like he uses a teep or anything like that to, you know, keep guys at range and, you know, do stuff like that. He lets guys inside. Like I said, he throws a lot of crazy stuff, and you know, often, you know, if they don't land, that leads you to being susceptible. So I'm going to go Dennis Bermudez. I think he hurts him on the feet, finishes on the ground. Second round TKO, Dennis Bermudez. Danny Castillo against John Cholas. Tough fight to call. Castillo's not remarkably good at, like, holding top position. Cholas is very, you know, good off his back. He will roll for weird stuff like knee bars and foot locks and stuff like that. His striking looked pretty good in his last fight. And while I think technical level is pretty close in terms of both offense and defense on the feet, Castillo definitely has way more power than Cholas. And I'm going to go with Danny Castillo by unanimous decision. I think he's just going to land the harder shots on the feet, get takedowns, not do a whole lot with them, but it's still going to gain him points. I think it'll be an okay fight, nothing great. If Castillo can't get this fight to the ground, and that's something that he wants to do, there might be some clinch battles up against the cage for a little while. But again, I think Castillo's going to outpoint him, basically. May rock him at some point, but we'll see. So Castillo by decision. Luis Gaudino against John Lineker. Don't know a whole lot about Lineker. He's a Brazilian dude, which nobody's pointing this out, but that's a weird fucking name for somebody that's Brazilian. I'm just pointing that out there. Who knows? Gaudino got destroyed in his last fight against Johnny Bedford. He is the better wrestler in this matchup. Again, to the Johnny Bedford fight, because I kind of skipped over that, but he's a 125er anyways, so yeah, I'll give him a pass at that. And it's not like he has a lot of experience, and Lineker does have a lot of experience, so we'll see. Gaudino is the better wrestler. I think Lineker is the favorite right now. Minus 250, some lines I saw it. It's a tough fight to call because I don't know a whole lot about either guy. Even seeing Gaudino on The Ultimate Fighter. So I'm gonna go Gaudino by split decision. Don't care. Talked way too much about that fight that I don't care about. John Hathaway against Pascal Kraus. Both guys have been injured. Good prospects, both guys. And for being European, they both have really good wrestling. Hathaway hasn't looked good in his last couple of fights. Kraus, like I said, he's been injured the longest of the two. He has been working at Rufus Sport with Duke Rufus on his striking, and I think that's going to be enough to give him the edge here. I think Hathaway's probably a little better in the clinch. But either way, I think this fight goes to a decision, and I got Pascal Kraus by UD. I think he's going to be, able to stuff the takedowns, be a little more technical with his boxing, and, try to avoid the clinch. If you can, circle out and take the center, use his striking that way. Try to get takedowns if he can, but just avoiding the takedowns anyway. So I'm going to go Pascal Kraus, unanimous decision. John Dodson against Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott taking this on shorter notice. He is a good fighter. I have seen him. His fight against Pulver was good, even though Pulver is obviously way past his prime. Here, I think Dodson at flyweight, he's too quick, too technical, hits too hard. Elliott, from what I know, was a pure wrestler when he first came into MMA. So, and that's the problem. Dodson's impossible to take down. The dude is just insanely difficult to take down or keep down if you even get him there. So I think Elliott's going to get tagged early, look to shoot from way outside, not have the range, and eventually Dodson's going to land something clean. So I'm going to pick John Dodson, second round KO. Tony Ferguson against Michael Johnson. I'm not going to lie to you, Michael Johnson, extremely up and down in his career, but he did look good again in the Shane Roller fight. His counter-striking looked very good. He may be the better wrestler here, but Tony Ferguson training at Death Clutch. He does have a wrestling background as well. He's difficult to take down. Striking-wise, it'll be interesting because, like I said, Johnson looked really good in his last fight with his counter-striking. Ferguson likes to take the offensive, so we'll see who can get the better of the exchanges. I do think Ferguson hits harder, and like I said, the wrestling, it could go either way, but Ferguson's hard to take down. I think just by him being able to land the harder shots, and I think it's going to win them the fight. Keep it on the feet, even if Michael Johnson wants to take it down. So I got Tony Ferguson by unanimous decision. I don't think he's going to finish Johnson. It's possible that he could finish him in the later rounds. I don't often pick late finishes, but Johnson gasses a lot in pretty much every fight that goes close to the distance. So if it's going to get finished, my guess is Tony Ferguson by some sort of stoppage in the third round, which is entirely possible. And now that I said that, I'm going to pick that. Tony Ferguson by third round stoppage due to strikes. Main card on Fox, Pat Barry against LeVar Johnson. A lot of people saying this is a coin flip of a fight, and while I agree to a certain extent, um, certain guys have advantages. Believe it or not, I think Pat Barry's better on the ground. I'm just pointing that out there. Not that it's going to go there, but just something that I just said because I felt like saying it. LeVar Johnson probably hits harder for sure. I mean, he definitely put Joey Beltran out. He is slow in plotting. Barry is the quicker of the two, definitely the more technical. And just by those two standards, I'm not saying LeVar can't like land something huge and finish Barry because it's entirely plausible. But I think Barry is the quicker of the two. The technical striking is better, and just by that, I can't pick a guy just because he's got more power than another guy. I think Barry, on paper, should have about a 60 to 40 advantage just because it leans in his favor because of the technical ability and the speed that he possesses over LeVar Johnson. And because of that, I'm going to pick him by stoppage. So I think what's going to happen is Barry's going to try to land leg kicks. He's got to be careful, though, because Johnson always looks for a counter right hand, and, leg kicks leave you susceptible to that. But I think he's going to try to work on the leg early, hurt Johnson. And a lot of people saying that it's going to end in the first round. I disagree. I think it's going to end early second round, leg kicks, and then finishing it on the ground. So Pat Barry by TKO early second round. Alan Belcher against Usman Palhares. Everybody on the Usman Palhares bandwagon there. Dangerous guy, improving his striking, hits hard. He grabs something, he's taking it home and putting it on his mantle as a trophy. Mostly your ankle or your knee. And Belcher definitely, every fight that he gets into, it somehow ends up on the ground, whether he gets taken down or it just somehow always ends up on the ground. And I think that's why a lot of people are picking Palhares. Even though Belcher is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Palhares is definitely the higher class black belt. Nobody's arguing that. Obviously, not me. I'm going to say Alan Belcher wins this by TKO in the second round. Palhares, yes, he is a better, higher level black belt than Alan Belcher. He's a higher level black belt than Dan Miller too, but he couldn't finish him on the ground. He landed the harder strikes against Miller because Palhares was, the technical striking was fairly close, but he ended up hitting harder, and that's why he almost finished that fight. Belcher is the way more technical striker here. He's got to be careful because Belcher likes to throw a lot of kicks, and that's going to get him taken down. Another reason why people are picking Palhares in this one. But Palhares, he gets, for having a good chin, from what people said, he got rocked by Dan Henderson. Okay, fine. He got rocked by Dan Miller. That shouldn't happen. And he's a short middleweight. Like I said, I think Belcher, he's got to be very cautious with his kicks. But I think he's going to use kicks, a little bit to set up his range, and then he's going to go high and kick him in the face, basically, is how I see it going. So I'm going to go Alan Belcher by KO head kick, second round. Bold pick, I understand, and I wouldn't be entirely surprised that if Usman Palhares frickin' leg locks the shit out of him and Belcher's on the shelf for over a year because he's refused to tap. But head kick knockout. So there you go. Johnny Hendricks against Josh Koscheck. Close fight, and Hendricks has, they have share a common opponent in Mike Pierce, who is criminally underrated at 170. That guy is one of the toughest fights that you can get in that division. But both guys struggled. You could say that he beat Hendricks. You could say that he beat Koscheck. He's a grinder. He's good at clinching. Defensively, he's good. Offensively, his boxing is pretty good. So, all three of those guys, Johnny Hendricks, Koscheck, Pierce, they're all in the same boat in terms of where they're skill level is. Although I think Hendricks is taking over. I think his head movement is really good. His boxing looks really good. He doesn't just wing punches like Koscheck does. He does set stuff up a lot better. And I have affinity for him because I'm left-handed. I love left-handed fighters. That's just the way it is. Am I biased? Yes. I don't give a fuck. But the thing that is going to make me pick Hendricks in this is that ever since, his orbital got busted against GSP and he came back, he's been fairly hesitant. He was getting outstruck on the feet by Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes, of all people, before, his power took over and he decided, oh, wait, I can just TKO this guy. So I think he's a little finicky in certain situations, especially in the pocket, and Hendricks is not one of those guys that's going to give him room to breathe. So I'm going to pick Johnny Hendricks by... Do I pick a finish or do I not pick a finish? I'm going to pick a finish. Second round TKO for Johnny Hendricks. I think Koscheck is going to be a little tentative on the feet. Like I said, Hendricks has to worry about the big right hand of Josh Koscheck. We'll see what happens. Koscheck, of course, left AKA, where we'll see how the coaching affects him and what guys did he bring in to spar. How is the sparring now? So that's something that's a concern. And so I'm gonna pick Hendricks. He just has more upside to him, and not that we need another contender at 170, but division is stacked as hell. And I like Johnny Hendricks. I think he got away from his wrestling a little bit, and I think he needs to use the threat of the takedown. So we're gonna go Johnny Hendricks, second round TKO. Now, the fight that I've been having all sorts of fucking problems with, Nate Diaz against Jim Miller. Fight is 5 rounds. Both guys, no problem going 5 rounds. Cardio, that's why I think this is going to be a great fight. Part of the problem is, especially in the last fight, you got Nate Diaz destroyed Donald Cerrone, which is why I think, you have a good last fight and people want to build you up and say, wow, that was freaking amazing. He just destroyed him, and I didn't think that was going to happen. Donald Cerrone played right into Diaz's game. He wanted to box with him. That's what he wanted to do. I mean, yeah, he threw some kicks, but he backed up, which Cerrone never does. He always comes forward. And he wanted to box with him for the most part. Cerrone had been improving his wrestling. He was good at taking guys to the ground. And all of a sudden, he forgot that, oh yeah, I've been training wrestling. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm pretty good on the ground too. I don't need to really worry about Nate Diaz on the ground. So, that's neither here nor there. Jim Miller, good, really good wrestler. Amazing on the ground. I mean, look, he tapped out a lot of people. One in particular that I'm thinking of, and I can't remember. Who did he tap out with a knee bar? I can't think of it right now. But anyways, yeah. Part of the problem is Miller has to get in the distance. He can't just let Diaz tee off on the outside. Diaz is going to try and work the body, which just favors him because he's already got great cardio. You work the body and then your opponent just kind of fades. So Jim Miller's going to have to get in and close the distance, which he is pretty good at. And he's good at taking the back, from a standing position. I think Miller has better power in his hands. I don't think it's going to matter all that much because I don't think he wants to box with him all that much. Even though Miller does have fairly good striking, I think it's going to be a really, really close fight back and forth. What Miller needs to do, obviously, close the distance, rough him up in the clinch. Diaz's don't use dirty boxing, so rough him up, push him against the cage, on the break, elbows, boom, try to hurt him, stun him a little bit, then take him down along the cage. Work your ground and pound from the top. Make Diaz work a lot, but make sure he's on the bottom doing it. And I think if Jim Miller does that, he's not going to be able to finish Nate Diaz, I don't think, because I never pick a Diaz to get finished ever, because the guys are just ridiculously hard to beat, first of all, and impossible to finish for the most part. So, until a Diaz can prove to me that they can withstand a wrestler and they come up with good game plans against wrestlers, I'm going to pick the much better wrestler with a black belt. Like I said, unless Miller cannot get on the inside and he gets roughed up early and can't take Diaz down, okay, then Miller's going to have a problem. But I don't see Miller having overly too much trouble with it. So I'm going to pick Jim Miller by unanimous decision. It should be a good scrap either way. I think Miller just can't play in a Diaz's game. So those are my picks for UFC on Fox 3, Diaz versus Miller. You guys stay metal. Later.